We're doing something a little bit different. And if you're watching the video, great, you're going to see me. You're going to see this whiteboard with all these words on it. If not, don't worry about it. If you're just listening to the audio, I'm still going to take you through everything on the board and you'll still get plenty out of this. So the primary goal in this episode is to talk about how we can use certain ideas, certain strategies to help rebuild our dojos, okay? Coming out of the pandemic, what is our plan? Are we just going to start having classes again? Maybe already having classes. We've been having classes at my dojo, but limited classes. As we grow and hopefully grow back into our schedule and get more people to hopefully start coming in the door as people want to start doing activities again, how are we going to be prepared for that? What do we do to try and get more people to come in? How do we attract more people to the art? What are some systemic challenges that we've faced for many years and maybe we haven't addressed them? Well, now's the perfect time to start talking about them. And we're going to talk about some of the great answers I got from a question that we posted in the Aikido instructors group. And then I'm going to talk to you about another idea I had that might help you guys with growth and trying to attract new students. But first, let's talk about the question. The question that I posted several months ago was to the instructors, as an instructor, what do you feel like is one thing that is a misconception, a false belief, or some kind of idea that the prospective student has in their head that keeps them from ever contacting you about taking a class? What's the limiting factor that says, nope, Aikido is not for me? So what I have on the board behind me is just some. We literally got hundreds of responses, and I've been wanting to do this video for a while, but we kept getting more and more responses, so I kind of wanted to let it build. We're at a good point. We have a lot of data now that we can go over. Now, not everything on the board is all of the answers, obviously, but a lot of them were very similar, or I could kind of put them into categories where they were kind of in the same realm. So that's what I'm going to go over now. So just talking about the question and then some of the answers I got. Some of the limiting factors or false beliefs that keep people from entering the dojo. Maybe they don't have enough time. Now that's I don't feel like that's Aikido specific. That's for everybody. Every day people battle with time. I don't care whether you want to start Aikido classes or fencing classes or horseback riding or whatever you're doing, you're battling time constraints with your daily schedule, balancing life and work and everything else. Okay, so that is just a constant. That's not really Aikido specific, but it is worth mentioning and worth talking about, and it was one of the comments that kept coming up under that post. Second is, it's too hard to learn. Now this, I think we all as instructors or students can say that yes, the conception that Aikido is more difficult than maybe some other activities is there. And I mean, I don't know about you, but me as a student, it actually attracted me to the art and kept me training because it was challenging and I never felt like I got it. You know, at this level, 30 years in, I'm still saying I have a lot to learn. Okay, that is great for us, but maybe to that new student or that prospective student, maybe that's overwhelming. Maybe looking at the big picture that this is a more difficult art. There's a lot of techniques. There's a lot of movement. It's complex. We have to learn how to fall. That could be intimidating. Again, I'm not judging it. These are not my answers. These are from our members of the group. Not street effective. Now this came up over and over and over, and it came in the form of it cannot beat BJJ. It is not good for real self-defense. It isn't self-defense. It is not street effective. It's not realistic. It's fake. All that came in, and obviously that was an answer that a lot of people wanted to put out there, and that's something I want to talk about at the end of this, so hang with me. It's too easy. I don't know about that one. I saw that a couple times. I don't know how many people think it's easy, but maybe what was trying to be said was by looking at it that it's not difficult enough, or maybe it's not aggressive enough. I'm not quite sure on that one, but I felt like I wanted to put it up because I did see it a couple of times. Lack of flexibility, lack of range of motion. The concern that maybe the person that's looking at joining thinks I need to be super flexible because of all these joint manipulations and shoulder manipulations. I think we've all heard people walk in the door and say, yeah, my hand can't touch my elbow, so I can't do Shionagen. I can't really bend my wrist that way. I got pins in it. So we've heard those concerns on range of motion issues and lack of flexibility. I know I have. You guys probably have as well. It's too much like dancing. It looks like dancing. It just looks like you guys are dancing around the room. That was something that came up repetitively and definitely worth noting. Again, we're not attaching to how we feel about this right now. We're simply discussing them, all right? And this, hopefully at the end, these data points will help you out. Too expensive. Again, I think that's kind of like the don't have time, the time constraint and the cost objection. Those are two things that often come up. But again, that's any activity, anything where you have to pay for it. And then, my answer to that is, I know some of you don't charge for classes. So that takes care of that. And again, we're not going to dive into how we feel about that. We're just saying that comes up as, for lack of a better term, an objection as to why we're not going to maybe sign up is because of cost. Okay. Now we'll go up here and we'll look at not strong enough. The conception that I need to be strong in order to practice. Okay. That was something that came up several times. Can't fall, or what another one repetitively was that falls are intimidating. And I think we can all agree that we've had people walk in the door. For me, when I was 19 years old and first saw an Aikido class, the falls are what drew me in. But maybe a 60-year-old is going to look at that entirely different. Or maybe a 30 or 40-year-old that has some injuries is going to look at that differently. So it's a perception of ukemi, really, that is a big factor. I think that a lot of us can agree on that. Again, it's a little bit of my opinion, but we're not going to focus too much on that. We're just going to put it out there. Fear of injury. I know that's come up with me many times with different students over the years. They walk in the door and they start originally saying, I don't want to get hurt doing this. I'm a little worried about getting injured. I work with my hands. I can't get hurt. I couldn't lose a week's work because of an injury that happened doing this. So I'm concerned about my welfare. I'm concerned about an injury. I think that that's pretty common in what we do. But again, that could be common in a lot of other arts or a lot of other activities. Too old. Definitely have heard this one, right? Maybe too old, or maybe let's go the opposite way. Maybe too young. Maybe the class that you're teaching, everyone is a lot older and they're a little bit younger. Maybe you're teaching people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and a 20-year-old walks in and says, I'm too young. Everybody in this class is much older, so maybe this isn't the right class for me. So I would challenge people to say not just too old, but maybe too young. Ineffective kind of goes with the street defense one, but this was something that came up over and over, so I want to put it up there separately. It just doesn't work. Whether it's street effective or in the dojo, there was the conception that Aikido does not work. It's fake. Kind of goes with doesn't work, but that was elaborated on in the group where people felt like the movement was fake or the way it was demonstrated was fake or whatever. Looks like yoga. That's kind of like the looks like dancing thing. If we're looking at the art, maybe don't know what we're looking at. Some of the instructors in the group felt like to the novice looking at the art, they might just think it's too much like yoga and it's not really effective or not a martial art or not really what they're looking for. And then the last one on this list, do not like to fight. I don't like to fight. Another one with this, it was I don't want to hit people. I don't want to be hit. What else did I see? I don't like striking. All that would kind of fall into that doesn't like to fight, don't like to fight kind of thing. So there was literally hundreds and hundreds of comments there, and they're all good. If you're in the Aikido instructors group and you're an instructor, I would say definitely take a look, go through the list, and see where you could add to it. Now, how does this benefit us? Okay, first of all, what I don't want to do is get into an argument with an Aikidoka about, well, that's true and that's false, and this is true and that's false. Here's the thing, and this is why I wanted to make this video, is I wanted to talk about all these misconceptions, all these objections, all these limitations. But what I really want to talk about is the fact that they all might be right or they might all be wrong. What I mean by that is if we're not defining what we're teaching, then you could have a lot of these be correct. They could 100% be correct. I think, and I feel really strongly that one of the best parts of Aikido is that it is interpreted by the students. And we can all look at that. We can look at O Sensei's Uchideshi and say each one of them were very, very different. We can look at students of students and say, why is this person so different from this person? Because it was interpreted differently. Someone looked at the art, they took what kind of spoke to them the most, They took the part that resonated with them, they focused on that part, and then they developed it. And then maybe they even put their own philosophy into it or whatever, and now that's their dojo. That's their martial arts class. That's their Aikido class. That's what they're teaching, is what they believe is Aikido. Now, what this person believes is Aikido and what this person believes is Aikido might be entirely different. And this is where you see all these kind of arguments going online where this Aikidoka is fighting with this Aikidoka. Well, you're not effective and you're too much breathing exercise and you're too much meditation. It's crazy talk. All right. First of all, you shouldn't really be worrying about what other dojos are doing because we're not teaching them. They're not our students. What we should be worrying about, in my opinion, is our students and how to get new students. What someone is doing here or there, that's fine. If they're all doing Aikido, who cares? But the problem is that we're not telling people what we're doing. And this is the breakdown in the communication of the general public to the actual art of Aikido. So look, I'm not judging any style of Aikido. You do Aikido, great. I applaud you because you're getting on the mat, you're throwing on a gi, and you're doing something. My Aikido might look very different from yours. It probably will. And yours might look very different from someone else's. And we should applaud all of that. I think where people get frustrated is that everyone kind of has their idea that of what they believe Aikido is everyone's belief. In other words, if I'm saying that I'm going to teach Aikido as a martial art, and I want to teach it in a way to help people defend themselves on some level, I need to be specific that that's what I'm doing. I'm going to be very specific in saying, this is what I'm teaching. It's a martial art. I'm going to teach you within reason how to use this, what I'm teaching you to stay relatively safe. Maybe that's what my message is. Maybe that's what my core values are or my mission statement. If each dojo made a mission statement about what they taught and were super clear about it, then a lot of this infighting would go away between different dojos, and a lot of people, when they walked in the door or contacted you, would not have these misconceptions in their mind. Let me break it down even more. So, if I don't care at all about the martial aspect of Aikido, let's say I primarily use Aikido as moving meditation. Great, sounds good. Then I need to be clear on my website, in my flyers, in my talking, in my conversations with a person on the phone about Aikido, that this is what I teach. If you cannot define what you teach, and I mean what you teach, not Aikido, not talking about the founder, not talking about the history, not talking about your teacher. If you are the instructor and you can't define what you're actually teaching, and I'm not saying just Aikido, you have to dig deeper than that because there's so many different levels to using the word Aikido. What is it you're actually teaching? And you can say that in a quick elevator pitch, couple of seconds, then I think that's where we have people confused. And when we confuse them, we lose them, right? They have no interest in continuing the conversation. And to be quite honest, if somebody walks in the door and they're looking for self-defense and they're looking for a simple way to do some basic self-defense, maybe it's awareness, maybe it's something that it's just they feel like they want to build their confidence and have a little bit of self-defense knowledge. And they come into your dojo and you clearly do not teach it as a martial art. You're teaching it as a way to improve flexibility and state of mind. Great, no problem. But now I walked in the door thinking I'm getting a martial art, and I'm actually getting a version of a martial art that's more focused on flexibility and breath rather than actual self-defense. So do you understand where I'm going with this? Is if we are all clear in every part of our messaging, and our messaging starts in our social media, it starts on your website, it starts on your flyers, it starts on your sign, it starts on every single point of contact that bridges the gap between you and your prospective student. That if you're clear of what you're doing, you could still be successful. There is, and I'm sure there's a market for almost everything we've talked about. There's probably a good market for people that just want to do it like yoga or maybe do it like just work on range of motion and improve flexibility. I'm sure you could develop a market for that if that's what your core values are and if that's what your mission statement is clearly saying. If that's what your art is, you're like, hey, look, I don't really do, let's say, hypothetically, okay, don't go bashing me online. Let's say you don't do falls at all. There's no falls in this dojo. All we do is taisabaki, and we do some boken work, and we primarily use it for core, I'm making this up, for core development and posture. Okay, great. Tell everybody that's what you're doing. Stop just saying, I do Aikido. All right? First of all, the word Aikido in itself confuses people, and this is proof of it. People don't know what we do. So we have to simplify that. You don't have to simplify your art. You don't have to change your art. Nobody wants you to do that. Do what you do best. Do what you love. That's your passion. Let everybody know what you're doing. But be clear on what you're doing. Don't sit there and throw an Aikido shingle up at the YMCA or on a building or anywhere and just get upset that people are like, you're not a martial art, or you're doing too much range of motion, or you're doing too many breathing exercises. Be clear on what you offer. Put Aikido on the wall. And then underneath, a school for breathing, flexibility, and awareness training. Okay, great. What does that mean? Let's simplify that more. You're going to come into class. We're going to focus with great movement. We're going to focus on some breathing. We're going to focus on some posture. We're going to focus on awareness, general physical awareness. That's primarily what we do here. Oh, okay. So I'm not going to be doing really self-defense. I'm going to be doing more of this. Yes. Okay, great. Sign me up, or no, that's not what I'm looking for. Now you've got the people you're looking for. So what I find, and again, this is just me, is that there's kind of like a megaphone, right? If we look at the everybody we're trying to talk to out here, if we're all just saying, do Aikido, right? To everybody, first of all, we could be confusing a lot of people. Second of all, do we really want all those people? There's probably a lot of people there that wouldn't be a good fit for my dojo. Maybe some of these people are a little aggressive. Maybe they're not the nicest people. Maybe there's some people that are looking to do harm or something. I don't want everybody. So what we do is, instead of using this huge megaphone, we taper down and we kind of niche down to a smaller group. But then we're very, very clear in our message so that maybe we're talking to less people, and maybe some people are hearing about you and now they're saying that's not for me. But now we're not doing a disservice by saying that by people perceiving that we're something we're not. If everybody that practiced did this, if everybody that had a dojo did this, it would be so much easier to find the right people and to also funnel down, niche down to that group of people that you really want to bring in and develop as students. And then the people that is not for them, they're going to go elsewhere. That's all. One of the worst things, in my opinion, is to have somebody walk in the door of a dojo with a great teacher teaching whatever style, whatever emphasis they're emphasizing in their art, and have that student be like, this is not what I expected. This is totally not what I expected. Well, what did you expect? I expected to be doing falls, flying across the room. And I expected that I could use this art to keep me where I felt safer. Okay. Yeah, that's not what we do here. What we do here is this. Well, now that person is either going to quietly quit or they're going to loudly quit, but they're going to leave with the feeling that they didn't get what they wanted. Okay? So if we can be clear on our message, if we can look at what's holding people back. Now, some of these things might be false for everybody. They might be like, yeah, none of this, I don't offer that. I'm never going to offer that. Other parts might be like, yeah, no, I actually offer that. That's something I do in my classes all the time. So that's not true. You have to be clear with your message. We have to understand that the general public doesn't understand what we're talking about. And when they walk in the door and we start talking about ukemi and shionage and taisabaki and irimi and uke and nage and kamizai and shomen and that's called data dumping. That is when you take a person and you bring them into something, and right away you're so excited that you start talking about so much. Oh, sensei was born in, died at this age. No, that's a great way to just confuse someone so much that now they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's going on. This is too much information. You're speaking a strange language. We want to keep our message simple. We want to be precise. And the way this can all happen for you guys is by starting with a mission statement. Write a mission statement. What is the mission of your dojo? How do you teach? And if you're a student, help your teacher with this. Maybe bring it up. Maybe they'd like to help. Maybe this is a group effort with your dojo, which is a phenomenal way of doing it. Have the instructor kind of come up with the core values and then talk about what is the mission statement for the dojo. What do you guys want to do for your community? What are you looking to offer your community? Is it a way to beat MMA? Is it street effectiveness? Trying to make an art that's super effective on the street? Is it more about relaxation and centering and calming the mind? Is it more about increasing range of motion? It doesn't matter. And we have to stop going back and forth at each other because someone's doing an Aikido in a way that we don't do Aikido. Who cares? Worry about your group, worry about what you're doing, and then you'll have a huge effect on the art. Spend less time worrying about everybody else doing whatever it is they're doing. Spend more time trying to figure out what's your message, what are your core values, and what do you want to do with your students to make sure that this art is here for generations to come. So that's about it. I hope this was helpful. I'm sure some people are going to just read the caption and troll me and not even listen to everything I had to say here, because that happens every time. And I'm okay with that. It's entertaining. But I'm really, really hoping that some of you take the time, start looking at these objections, start looking at what's holding people back. Make your own list of what's holding people back. That's where I would start. Then make a core value. Just write down, what are the core values of your dojos? What's the most important thing to you? Then write a mission statement. What is our mission? What are we looking to do with our teachings? What is it that we want to present to our students? And then make that in a way that it's easy to digest so anyone can read it. And then give it to someone that doesn't practice and maybe never intended to practice. Hell, like I give stuff to my mom. My mom, I've been practicing how long and she still doesn't know what I'm doing. Give it to her, let her read it. And if she understands it, I'm probably okay. If she reads it and she's confused by it, I immediately lost somebody. Somebody didn't understand what I was talking about. So try to make it so that your messaging is clear. The dojo understands, your group understands, your classes understand, whatever you got going on, but everybody in the dojo understands what you're doing. Then get it out to the population. Revamp your social media, revamp your website. Everything, every flyer you put out, whatever you're doing a door hanger, I don't care. Make sure the mission statement is consistent and what you offer is clear. All right? I don't want to go into a bakery that says cupcakes outside and all they have is brownies, okay? I want to get what I think I'm getting. And if they say, no, our style of brownies are like a cupcake, like it doesn't matter. I have to know what I'm getting when I walk in that door. I need to know what I'm going to learn when I walk into your class. That needs to be clarified. And for me, I feel like it's a huge sticking point in our art. And until we start getting clear with messaging, we're going to continue to lose people that we could easily bring in and hopefully make long-term Aikidoka. That's it for today. Hopefully this helped you guys out. Probably made some people mad today too, but that's okay. I hope I made more people smile than not. Have a good day. Stay well, you guys. Stay safe, and I will talk to y'all soon.